Say it again, Cole.
Technical difficulties.
So, how'd you guys come up with the name Drift and Return?
Uh, I mean, go ahead, Gabe. I'd say Gabe was more of the chooser of the title, right?
I mean, that implies like I had some sort of veto right over things. Look, Cole,
Nah,
if I'd
yeah.
been left to my own devices in terms of name of the podcast, it would have been called like Navigate. Or no, what did I want? I wanted something like the Bureau of like Non-Newtonian Space Management or something like that is what I was looking for. Roddy was not
Yeah.
cool with anything in that category.
It was like super grain nerds or something, right? So I don't know how we came to the
You probably brought up super grain nerds. I mean, well, so we had the old
yeah.
podcast called Grain Waves, right?
Yeah.
But I think we just kind of thought we were just talking about like what it would be like and what we were going to do, and so this is what happens when Rodney and I talk to each other, as we drift off to all kinds of other topics, and then like at some point we remember what it was we were supposed to be talking about, and so we get back to that. It's also a nice play on so market theory. There's this idea of return to mean, right? Mean reversion. So the market will drift one way or another, go around it, and then will return, back to a mean. And so, like, it was a nice combination of is that a pun? I don't know if there's a pun. Not really, but I'm sure there's a
Great
name for it.
marketing. It's called
It's great
great marketing.
marketing. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, clever. That's awesome. Uh,
Yeah. I don't, Gabe, I don't know if you're paying attention. We're drifting today in the corn market significantly. I'm sure Cole's got the screen up watching this ugly, ugly close.
are we drifting lower?
Yeah, so we're down 5.25 on corn. If you talk to a technical person, they'd say we blew through every support level that known to man here. Really ugly day in the corn markets.
What did you do?
I just needed the market to go up. The market hates me, so that's what we do. Nah, that's not true. It helped probably a healthy correction here, but it's weird because this is the time of year that like we're thinking about seasonality, right? And
Yep.
the big question is, hey, when does the high come in? Usually sometime between April and say July. So it's like I've been telling all the guys like, hey, we're kind of white knuckling right now through this seasonal time frame because when it's gone, it kind of tends to be gone.
I'm sure you're working all kinds of stop orders though, right?
I do have some stops in place, man. Specifically, from the conversation we had, I had multiple guys call me up and say, "Hey, that's actually a pretty good idea." So, um,
I'm
yeah,
a big stop order guy. Cool.
yeah.
Rodney, you want to give Cole an intro here?
Yeah, Cole. I'm mostly gonna let Cole introduce himself, but Cole Stock, Western Grain Marketing. Um, I get the opportunity to deal with Cole through a couple of business ventures that I'm involved in. So I know Cole's a great dude, cares tons about his farmers, and tries to help them, make the right decisions. So that's why I want to have him on.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, Stock, WGM. I'm the marketing manager for Western Grain, so I manage our origination team. Also get plenty of exposure to merchandising as well. Get the opportunity to learn under Ryan Miller. He's our merchandising manager. Just started getting a lot more involved with that here in the last year. I mean, as you guys know, for whatever reason, in the last 15 years ish, the industry's tried to go origination, merchandising, and kind of keep those separate.
Yep.
Um, and I came from a spot like with Schooler, that's where I started my career, where you were exposed to all of it, right? You were dealing with the farmer. You were eventually running your own deck, running your own position, arbitrage, that whole sort of thing, right? That comes with it. So, um, what I try to do is I'm trying to bridge that gap. Um,
with our origination team and trying to get as much exposure to those guys and gals, as I can. Here's what we're thinking, basis wise. Here's where we might see some opportunities. Here's what we can or what we can't do. And not that we weren't doing some of that before, right? But we're growing pretty rapidly, Rodney, as you know. So it's just an opportunity for myself to learn under our head merchandiser and help support our team, wherever I can.
So at Schooler, you would have called yourself a merchandiser, right, Cole? I mean,
Yeah, that title, and I think they still have that today. When I joined them in 2014, yeah, it was merchandising. And I went through the whole training program. They ship you somewhere for a few months at one stop and just getting exposure kind of everywhere. And then really learned to merchandise. It was all a cross-country deck, corn, soybeans, soft red winter wheat, all along the East Coast. So, you talk about pretty much zero to real minimal elevator arbitrage and all FOB focused program and many, many different origins off farm. That's really where I kind of learned more or less how it works, in my career.
yeah, cool. That's awesome. The split between merchandisers and originators, I always say that's like in the restaurant business, the difference between the wait staff and the bartenders. Like you want them to work together, but you don't really want them to be best friends, right?
Right. Yeah, no,
When they're
exactly. Exactly. You get a year like this one, pretty decent carries in the market. You've seen times where basis is perked up towards DBE values here or there. And, we at Western Grain don't have the luxury in a carry market to just not do anything all year until May, June, July, right? We got to keep stuff kicking out the door. But
Yep.
then you think about the farm customers that we serve, we've got to have different sales on at different terminals and destinations because we know we also run heavily intense off-farm programs. So it's a kind of balancing act, right, between making sure we're taking care of those farm customers while we also got to make sure that, we've got our key locations are ready to rock by September 1st.
Ron, Ronnie, can you talk more about that analogy?
All right, so I've waited tables, a significant amount of tables in my career, and while I always got along with everybody, there were definitely situations where the waitresses hated the bartenders, right? And that was a bad situation because bartenders would just ignore the tickets that came through, right? So they make their own customers drinks at the bar, and they're like slow to make the seated customers drinks. And then there's the other way around where like the waiter and the bartender are best friends. And that what I've seen there is it's like, hey, if we just like sneak out some drinks and don't charge these guys for a drink, we make better tips, right? So like you got to find this like middle ground where it's like, hey, we have a healthy relationship, but
Okay.
we both protect our thing. And like the originator merchandiser thing in my head is always like, hey, the merchandiser is it's not that the merchandiser doesn't care about the farmer, but the
Mhm.
merchandiser's there to protect the margins that they have
Right,
on their space and
right,
logistics. Where the originator's there it's not that they don't care about the elevator, but they're definitely, more incented to take care of the farmer and tend to like feel like they're on the farmer side of these negotiations.
right. And really good example, Rodney. Like when I started in my career, man, if you were the merchandiser, and I'm just using a basis number, if you would have said, hey, we can pay 5 to 10 over, I would have called 30 people and said, here's a 10 over, right?
Yep,
So
exactly.
it's me using experience, knowing, hey, I look like a hero and I bought a lot of bushels, but making sure I explain to our team, hey, I've got, X amount of room that we need to execute this for the elevator unless something's going to change here in the market. But 20 customers, call them up. Here's what we can do, right? And help them draw and I
Exactly.
draw that picture and I identify for them, hey, we as a company, we gotta make sure we're moving grain out. We've got stuff that we need to do, but let's take care of some of our key customers in this market. So
Yeah. Gabe, let's talk fairness for a second. I think you'll have a thought on this. So say I'm a originator, or say I've got this facility, right? And my bid is like 10 over. All right.
Yep.
And I got a farmer that's 10 miles away from my facility, and I quote him 10 over, right? That's my bid. I'm good
Yep.
there. And then I got another farmer that's 30 miles away from my facility, and I quote him 15 over. The thought process is it costs that farmer 5 cents more to get to my facility, right? So they're
Mhm.
effectively the same.
Yep.
That sound fair to you? What's the
Man, that's a great question. I do think it's fair. I think that, I mean, it is a pretty standard market construction, right? Like that farmer that's 30 miles away from your location needs more value to deliver to your location than the farmer that's 10 miles away. I also understand why it's frustrating as hell if you're the guy 10 miles away,
right?
but it, and he's, well, that's not fair. Well, yeah, it is, dude. Like, it costs you less to take it there. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
what happens, right? For all of us, it's funny. Have you seen these headlines lately? I feel like I've seen the same picture every time of like a digital price tag in the store
Oh
below,
yeah,
I don't know, Frosted Flakes or something. The idea being that like certain stores are testing out surge pricing for certain goods and stuff like that.
for
Um,
sure.
and so it's one of these things where, uh, so my brain immediately goes to places like Argentina, right, where they've had really hardcore market regs around food. And I think anybody that lives in Argentina will tell you it is not a great economic situation, even with those massive controls in place. Um, and so
Mm.
when you take away the market signals and the market's ability to drive towards um, what is the clearing price, to use some exchange lingo, you end up creating a whole bunch of other weird incentives and causing other problems down the chain that ultimately you hurt yourself in the long term. But it's very difficult to see. I mean, that being said, that's in a world, that's in the ideal capitalist world, right, where everybody's
Right.
following the laws and everything else. Um,
Right.
but yeah, generally speaking, ultimately, yeah, I do think that's fair. Um, I do think it's fair if you're doing more work to get paid more. So if I'm driving 30 miles and you're driving 10, I am doing more work than you. I should get paid more. That's okay.
There we go. The decree is there, Cole. Free to zone bid
I'm
anywhere
sure
you
everybody
want.
will be fine with it now.
yeah, zone bidding when you're running a strong export program is always fun, but when you're the elevator, you don't like getting zone bid when you call the crush
Exactly.
plant and wanting to sell some beans.
Oh
So
yeah.
it goes
Yeah.
both ways.
Yeah. It's funny. Long time ago, I was listening to one of your competitors there, an old school merchandiser, been around forever. In fact, I think he tried retiring like 5 times. I don't think he's retired yet. And I'm listening to him give a presentation. He's talking about, yeah, when I sell to ADM, he's talking about ADM down in St. Louis. He's like, when I'm selling to him, I'm like, oh, this corn's coming way out of, Effingham. Like, yeah, he would like drop that in the conversation. Hey, I got some grain in Effingham's got to come your way. What do you pay for it? And then he's like, when it comes down to it, I end up just hauling that out of the, Lincoln or whatever, like someplace way closer. It's like, yeah, that's the game for sure.
So as a farmer,
Hey,
you just need multiple
Yeah,
farms.
exactly. Yeah,
you never know if you don't ask, right?
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
dynamic pricing thing though, uh, have you seen it where you are on an app at a place and you get a different price if you're in the store or out of the store for the app?
no, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
so like Target got busted doing this, and I've seen it
No
where
way.
if you're not in the store, and they have a geofence around their stores, and if you're not in the store and you check their website, it's some price. And then if you are in the store and you like price shop them, it's a higher price than if you're outside the store. And I think they're just thinking, hey, you're already at the store, right? Like the convenience fee you're gonna
Yep.
buy. Yeah.
I
I
feel
don't know
like
what I
that's
think about
illegal.
that. Yeah, I
It's
don't know.
definitely in a gray area. Like, so there's interesting laws around like pricing, like in terms of how you're allowed to price that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, well,
Yeah,
I they got a ton of lawyers. I'm sure they talked to them first, but it feels like that's a weird, um, yeah, thing to do.
like one thing they shouldn't be able to do is price it based on your income, which is something they could do, right?
Something they could do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We tax people based on their income.
Yeah, I know.
I
That's
mean, like look, these are sticky problems, man.
that's right.
I don't know. Cole, what do you think?
I think that it's scary when you think about how it's scary and exciting when you think about technology, AI, the world that it could lead to. I guess I didn't even know that this was going on, this price surging or
Yeah.
you using mapping to see, where you were at. I guess to your point, Rodney, if I'm in Target in Springfield, I'm probably not gonna walk out and drive the extra couple miles to Walmart, right? So,
Exactly.
um, kind of blows my mind actually, but yeah, it's crazy to think about what 10, 20 years from now is gonna look like, right? I mean, I can remember being a kid and grandparents cutting out like coupons. Some of that still happens today, but that's few and far between with the different technologies we've got at our fingertips today. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so let's talk about communism and capitalism, right? Like this is so well, so look, in a genuinely
I believe we have the title for our show today. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah.
right. So if we use like now, I guess any political theory like specialist is going to call me an idiot for what I'm sure for what like I'm going to give a non-nuanced view of these things. But if we think about communism as like completely state-owned business, or like state owns all the business, right? Everybody basically gets issued the same check. That's the ideal form of communism. We all know it doesn't really work that way because we've got humans running it, but
Yeah.
that's its ideal form, and everybody's paid the same, and that's a way to solve the problem, right? Is like everybody gets the same income, everybody gets the same allocation of apples or whatever else it is. Now, growing up in the US, right, few and far between is the person who has gotten old enough that they've entered the US workforce who's had some amount of productivity that feels like that's a reasonable way to do things, right? We think I worked more than you, I should get paid more. I contributed more to
Right.
this, right? And so then, Rodney, you asked, like, well, if I'm making more, I shouldn't be able to, doesn't make sense that I get charged more. Well, okay, as a capitalist, I'd actually say, I think a company should be totally free to do that. But I would also expect there to be competition for my
Sure.
right for my business. And so
Yeah.
that's ultimately in the idealized capitalist world, right? That's what happens. There's that competition that kind of takes away those weird asymmetries, right?
Right.
And you have regulations in place to prevent collusion, so people don't go, okay, everybody making between 50 and 80,000 pays this, and everybody between 80 and 120 pays it. Like you don't have that collusion going on, and so companies have to genuinely compete for your share. So that's what. So should a single entity have the ability to do that? Yeah, probably, but also, you can walk out of Target and go to Walmart. That's a choice you can make,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, no, good point. You'll price yourself right out of it if you try to get too cute. Um, that's something we think about a lot come fall. You talk about your storage rates, right? There's going to be elasticity there where yeah, we all know the cost of business has continued to go up and up and up, but at what point do your customers say, "Hey, at this price, I'm figuring out something else to do." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, a merchandiser, about fall soybean basis, right? Everybody's posted at 45 under. It's just like it's the number that everybody posts, and it's like way too much money. If you calculate the cost of money to carry those beans, like they should be more like 60 under, but nobody wants to be the first person to post that. And it's just like 45 under is the new generic number there. So it's
Really funny.
interesting. Yeah.
Right. 45 and 30, 25 to 35, somewhere in there on corn. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, have you guys heard this term in shitification?
No.
Maybe. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So so Amazon, right? When for a long time, you know, Amazon was like famous for not making money, right? So they because any profits they would make, they were basically dumping back into the business and they were subsidizing all these things. So Amazon Prime was super cheap, the super fast delivery, whatever, go down the list. And then what's happened over time is Amazon's converted from trying to grow and earn your business to making money off. And so that's where all the fees start to climb in. This is the classic big business coming in, squeezing out all the little guys, right? And so it's interesting thinking about that on the grain side. It's kind of you're seeing the opposite version of play where nobody wants to lower their price. Like
Right.
everybody's taking their licks at 45 because
Yeah.
nobody's willing to go. But it like that's so I forget who the guy there's a guy who coined that term. Like to be clear, I did not make that up just now. But there's this whole the venture backed model, especially around tech, is built to roll out with really low cost or zero cost services to start with to you start integrating it into your life, and then as they think they have you hooked, then they start that's when they convert the business.
Yeah, I've got a
um,
few of those that I fell for sure.
yeah. So just an interesting parallel there.
And you saying that on beans makes me think too, Rodney. It's like, do you guys know of any country elevator companies on beans that sit there and say, "Man, I've got more than enough bean space here at the country house. I've got flex space if we need to add more bean space." These things just, I mean, there's a point where, you know, a lot of people I know, they're short bean space and they're having to find a place to shuffle beans out at bean
Yeah.
harvest time. So it's like, why are we posting 45 under, 50 under when, to your point, you talk about, interest costs carrying them, should be a little bit cheaper, but nobody wants the nobody wants the minus 60 on their bid sheet.
So when I was at FS Grain, we hired Dean Durden to come in and be our main merchandiser. Dean's been on the podcast. He's one of the smartest guys I know around the merchandising space. And he comes walking in and he's like looking at that, the value of bin space for each by location. He just gets this instantly, right? And he would walk in, look at like, you got the map on the wall of the like storage facility. And he'd come in and be like, "Hey, can we have beans in tank five?" And I was in every one of these conversations, and inevitably the elevator manager would be like, no, we don't do that. And he's like, "We don't do that, or we can't do that. Like, there's a difference here." And sometimes you really can't do it, but most of the time it was like, "Hey, we just don't do that." So yeah, it's like finding that. I mean, the elevator's job is to like optimize their space for the best return on investment. That's it, right? So if I can buy beans at 60 under and corn is going to cost me 20 under for the fall, like chances are I should be flipping a corn bin to beans.
So if I'm the merchandiser at the elevator today, why am I not calling up all these guys around that are 45 under and trying to sell to them? Let them like, and then come back around later and fill those orders.
Well, because the thing is, 45 under is a bad price for the elevator that has space, right? Like
Well, that's what I'm
they don't
saying.
want to sell. They like it's weird. They don't want to sell at 45 under, so they're buying at 45 under, right?
Okay. But they really want to buy at 60 under.
I mean, they
Well,
should.
because that's where it should be priced, you're telling me though.
I mean, so like
Whatever. Like
off the
yeah,
cuff, yeah,
yeah,
right.
we're speaking in generalities here.
Yeah,
If they're 45 bid right, 4,500 bid right now, they should probably be 60 bid, but
sure.
they're not moving because everybody else is there. So I'm sure we've talked about this example. But like when I used to work on the trading desk at Cargill, every once in a while somebody would call us up and go, "Oh, Gabe, so somebody else has the same product you guys have, real similar, but it's 10 cents cheaper." I go, "Really?" Yeah. And I go, whatever, get to the computer, do my math. I'm like, damn, that looks good. Hey, can you call them up and see if I can get some of that? Right?
Yeah,
Because the price would be so far off that like it was crazy. Magically, it would go away. Right? Like
yeah.
that was again, I love me some free markets. Right? Like
Right.
Sure, your bid there, great, boom, done. I'm hitting you like crazy. That's an insane bid all day,
Right.
right? And it just goes away. Um, that I mean, and I know there's all these relationships, and nobody's going to go like, "Oh, I don't know who Cole is." Sure, you don't, right? They're going to
Yeah.
know exactly what's going on. But I think that's, um, yeah, that would be a way to push the issue. Um, but we had Ben from, was it Contango? Was that his
Yeah.
thing?
Yep.
Like, have you talked with him, Cole, at all? Seen his product?
Uh, yeah, we use Contango pretty religiously actually. Great product, super impressed. If I would have had that 10 years ago,
Oh,
specifically cross-country trading and the
oh my
prospecting data that you get, I
God.
mean, I know you hear me on that. It's like, yeah, but for what we're doing still in the areas we're trying to grow our business, man, it's been a great product so far. I'm super impressed and happy with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be staring at that all day long to figure out who can I mess with, like on the commercial side. But but that's me. I'm a terrible person. Uh,
Dave, I'm an originator at heart, and almost every day I think, why don't I just get back in the origination business for somebody that has Contango? Like, it's just
Ronnie's gonna
fun. It's
start an
like,
elevator.
yeah, it's like the gamification of, grain origination, essentially. It's fantastic. It's so good.
Uh,
Yeah, it's an awesome product. Ronnie, maybe that's an idea Gabe had. We can start an elevator and then we can be the first ones that post 60 under for fall beans.
There we go. Yeah. We just need like $10 million to start that.
That's all
And
we
let
need.
me just is it 10 million bucks to start a grain elevator?
investors, possibly you.
Yeah,
I guess it depends.
maybe last year 10 mil would have got us an elevator. It's probably
Yeah.
yeah, it's scary.
10
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
bucks, man.
I
God,
mean,
Ronnie, you say numbers like that, and it does get a guy thinking. Anyway,
I was looking at a $1.5 million or million bushel facility. We'll start small. I mean, we're not going to start by taking over the world.
I mean, we could instead. I know you would hate this. We could do like Nebraska and do grain piles out there. I mean, you can build space real fast that way. Like,
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
okay,
I mean,
you'd have
mostly
to
because I'm
cross
not
over
an
the
operation
Mississippi
guy.
though, and like that's
Yeah,
a.
right.
I feel you get headaches and stuff or something when that happens.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, I remember competing with some guys that would just like, if there was too much grain, they would just open the chutes and let the corn fall out on the ground rather than not dump trucks. I never worked at a place where that was the strategy, but I competed against those guys, and it's hard. It's hard to compete against them because, farmer likes them, but then it comes down to how much does the farmer like them, right? Is it, sorry. Hey, give me one second.
Got a farmer at the door probably.
I know where he's going with this. Do they like you enough for a couple cents
Right? Do
or
they like you 2 cents? Do they like you 5 cents? Yeah.
right? Funny story, one time I new to WGM went somewhere to just pulled up like random farms, stopping by addresses in the country. We're talking about how much the farmers like you, Rodney.
Yeah.
And I stopped at this guy's shop just to introduce myself, and he said, "Well, as long as your name's not so and so," which was who he was doing business with, "I would not sell to you if your price was 10 cents better. So you can
Yep.
get off my property right now." And I was
Yep.
like, "Holy crap, those are the relationships that you respect the heck out of it, because those are relationships that we want to build. It doesn't come down to the 2 cents. It comes down to the farmer likes you for a dime, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Turns out you could pay them 11. I mean,
Yeah, we could. Well, at least
Well,
now you
lucky,
know what you
yeah, I
have.
now
should
you
have
know.
said, lucky for you, man. I got 11 cents more
11 cents
today.
right here.
Yeah.
Today only. Um,
Yeah.
man,
That's the funny thing, the customers that I think I have like that, right, that would say something to the tune of that are also the customers that I've been through the worst situations with, right? Like I think of the guys that will like are the most loyal guys that ever worked with me. Almost every one of them came down to like an accumulator doubled up $1 in the money, right? Or they had some like 90% damaged grain in the bin come July. And I think those are the moments where it's like, hey, how did he treat me in this like bad situation? It was a no-win situation, right? And, I think those are the ones that have stuck with me for the longest time. And I've been around long enough that I have hundreds of
But I
Yeah,
also think that that value is real, right? Like it's that,
mhm,
and so it's tough to put a number on it, whether it's 2 cents or 10 cents or 20 cents,
them.
right? I mean, and sometimes there's no price, right? It's like
right.
Yeah.
because they know ultimately you're giving them a reasonable market price, and I would say it's kind of like a it's fighting against that inshitification thing where
Yeah.
hey, like I recognize what's happening here. You're trying to dislocate something that's actually really healthy for me, and like like it would be very much a happy today, sad tomorrow thing,
Sure.
right?
Right.
Like that's which is tough to do, like to recognize that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Cole, how do you
Yo,
use AI today?
how do I use AI?
You haven't asked this in a while, Rodney. I'm
I have.
curious.
Yeah.
So if I'm typing something up that I'm going to send to numerous people, um, I like to stick that in like Chat GPT and just, a general, hey, clean this up or make it sound a little bit better.
Yeah.
My fiance and I are actually doing a little bit of remodeling on our home because our goal is in the next 12, 16 months to put that on the market and then find something else. And I've used Chat GPT for it, man. I'll take a picture and say, hey, give me some ideas to make this look a little nicer, a little more modern. If I had to throw out a number, I would say I'm using AI that I know about. Um, Probably a few times a week, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Rodney, you're still knee deep in it, aren't you?
Every day, all day. I fought with Claude all morning this morning.
Oh, you're off XAI.
I am, dude. I made the switch. Yes, Claude is unbelievable. Well, I didn't make the switch. I have multiple. I have Claude, I have Copilot, I have ChatGPT, all paid subscriptions.
Well, GitHub dropped XAI as an agent uh, in terms of its integrated solutions, which is a pretty big deal because they've got almost everybody in there now.
You're
GitHub's
saying
like
they don't use XAI
it's
or
not
either?
available as a agent to help you with coding, right? So GitHub's a thing that if you develop it, you keep all your code in there, you check it in, check it out, that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of AI agents that are built in to help you write the code, and it's almost everything it feels like, but they dropped XAI.
Hmm. Got it. Yeah, yeah, I had you're talking Grok, right? When you say
Yeah, yeah,
XAI.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's yeah.
I had Grok. It was crazy. It's the most expensive one. It's really timely. That's why I liked it because you could
Mm.
ask what's happening today and it knew the answer to that. But I did cancel my Grok subscription. Just wasn't my thing. So what they've changed is so ChatGPT and Claude now they both have these things called essentially co-work. So Claude is co-work, ChatGPT is Codex, which I've never tried it, but I'm sure it's the same, where you can kind of create these projects and then it does the work for you. So it
Hmm.
like takes over your computer, it'll move files, it'll, create images, it will write code. Gabe, I think you watched me one time, like ChatGPT, give me some code, and then I copy and paste it into, some text editor. No more, man. I haven't hit the copy button in forever. It just does it. You know, it's incredible.
You're saying that's what I should use to build my trailing stop platform.
100%. A
All right.
100%.
I,
Yeah.
so I use it all the time, probably closer to you, Cole. So like right now we're trying to figure out what sensors to put into the greenhouse to look at the plant health kind of thing. And so I'm working with a guy who's an expert in it. And so it's one of these things where, because I know he's there, I'm actually comfortable using the AI to do research because I know like I'm using it to get smarter on the topic so that when
Right.
he starts talking about stuff, hopefully I know what he's talking about and like can ask some questions to understand. And when he's trying to refine things, be better equipped to have that discussion. There's that, and then like drone. We're looking at maybe flying a drone in the greenhouse because it's
Mhm.
cheaper than lining up a bunch of sensors, or maybe it's cheaper. And so now I'm learning about drone. Yeah, so a lot of educational stuff. I'm using it for those unstructured problems where it's like I don't really know anything about drones. I'm not really sure where to start, and so it's a helpful place to start digging in.
Mhm.
But I'll say it's still pretty frustrating in terms of like if you present it with like a general question, like, "Hey, here's a really detailed description of what I'm trying to do in the greenhouse. What do you got for me?" And it's like it'll give me some answers, but then when I keep poking, it's like, dude, you left out like three huge players here. Like you gave me like a top tier, a medium tier, and like two people nobody's heard of, one of which doesn't even really exist anymore. Like stuff like that. Yeah, it's still in that for things other than code and summarizing content summary or generation. I don't. I still struggle with it having much value. It's super valuable though in those two buckets for me.
Yeah. I'll give you one. I'll give you one that I think you'll like, Gabe.
All
So
right.
I started a nutrition coach in Claude.
Okay.
So essentially, so it's a project, you start a project and you say, hey, Claude, you're an elite nutrition coach, right? Your only job is to help me be fit, active, and like work within my constraints, right? Like, I love pizza. You can't tell me that I can't eat pizza, right? So you like lay out all those things. So long story short, I started by posting my supplements. So I gave it my supplements, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think about this supplement list? I want to be economical, right? I don't want to waste any
Sure.
money." It immediately was like, hey, these two supplements are essentially doing the same thing. You should get rid of this one. Like it told me which one I should get rid of. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna upload my blood work. So I had some blood work that I found. So I upload this blood work to it. And it looks at the blood work later and it says, oh man, you didn't tell me you were like low in, you were like deficient in vitamin B. It's
Yeah.
like that's why you were taking that other thing. You need to keep
Get
taking
that
that thing.
back.
And it knew it. And what like the beauty for me is I also see a doctor that is on this stuff. And he had told me the exact like that's why I started this second supplement because he's like, oh, you're not uptaking this thing or whatever. It's really good. And then so I'm a CrossFit guy, which we should spend some time talking about today for sure because we haven't. But that's a joke, Yeah. All right. So anyway, I it like was trying to optimize my diet on workout days versus non-workout days.
Hmm.
Had interesting conversation back and forth. And then, you know, at some point during the conversation, I was like, oh yeah, my workouts are 5 a.m. And it was like, you didn't tell me you were working out at 5 a.m. Like, are you not eating before these workouts? Like, what are you doing? And it treats you like, like an actual coach that you would talk to.
I like I like it. I'm frightened by the emotion you give it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I, and everybody does it, right? Yeah, that's one of the scariest things to me is
It's
is
so
that
good.
bit.
Do you
Um,
guys think there's space in ag more so like marketing and helping farmers make good decisions, looking at AI specifically? Um, whether that's charts or give me historicals or give me a quick snapshot of fundamentals or, you plug in your own operations numbers, rather than having a big detailed spreadsheet. I guess, what do you guys think about AI in the ag space?
I mean, Rhonda,
Go
you're
ahead.
using it today for it. Do you want
Yeah.
to?
So I think, I'm using it to write code to help solve problems that I've had as a grain originator my whole entire life, right? Like coming up with, hey, what's my current market value? What's my best fob value? Like stuff like that, right? Cost of money is a big one. That this is not an AI thing. I think if a if a programmer knew how the grain business worked, they could have made what I made. What it's done for me is let my creative side do actual engineering side, to get what I needed done. So I think there's a lot of that. I'm not scared of AI at all for replacing jobs. What I'm excited about AI for is I think it takes these like big corporations, right, and makes them less valuable. I think it puts the
Mm.
value back on people, right? Like I spent a lot of time lately, I'm gonna go on a tangent, but thinking about like banks, right? So we have a bank in Dwight that is like a gigantic bank, it's been bought 17 times. And then we have this other bank that is like one of the oldest banks in the state, and they have made this decision, we're gonna stay the oldest bank in the state. Like we're not gonna sell. And their service is so good. Like you can just tell they care about the customer. Like I'll call them up and say, "Hey, I need some stupid loan for something. I don't have any paperwork," or like, and the girl's like, "Whatever, we'll figure it out," right? And you just don't get that at other places. And like those kinds of things are what make me excited about artificial intelligence. Like I don't think a guy in his basement can spin up a bank, but some version of that is possible, I think, without the gigantic overhead that like, Citigroup has to have or whoever. I don't even know, what these are.
I so I still struggle with it for things that have right answers. Cool. So like where there's and math is like the classic example. I'm sure you've seen like how many R's are in strawberry. Sometimes it says two, sometimes it says three. Like those types of things. When you think about, because I guess for this conversation we're really talking about AI as the large language models, and those things are built to predict, right, what the next word, phrase, paragraph, you know, function is going to be. They're not built for right answers, which sounds like a weird thing, but like
Yeah.
that's what they're built for, is predicting like what based on that. And so they're not, there's lots of other AI things that do optimize for right answers. And
Yeah.
so I think what you'll see is what the kind of what Rodney's talking about, where those large language model based things like a GPT or Claude will allow, I think they'll ultimately become translators
Yeah.
to those more, what I think about is more ultimately actually more sophisticated AI tools like your big neural nets and like your quant heavy stuff. Uh, and so I think the where AI will ultimately fall, and this is, I'm probably wrong, but where I think the AI, like the LLM stuff will fall is like they're all going for these generalized agentic models that can do all the things. And I just don't think we have the compute to get there. And I think they're going to like the moment somebody like gives up on that and totally focuses on we're going to just use it as the translator in to those other things, I like in a real way, I think that's actually the big unlock.
Yeah.
And it really moves from being a toy, again, outside of code and
Yeah.
content summary generation, to being something that like does that democratization, right? Because like I don't think that Claude is going to tell me what a good credit risk model is, like, and be able to implement it like in an actual secure way. But I do think it could take what I'm doing and translate it. I turn that question into something that could then ask something else that does that, right? And it'll help somebody else build the credit risk model that plugs into so it's a huge, so it's funny. I always feel like I'm like a big like AI naysayer, and I because it feels like if you're anything other than gung ho about it, you're like, oh, you don't buy into it. Like, well, no, I just don't think it's the panacea, right?
Yeah.
Um, but so Cole, to answer your question, I think that's where it'll come in. Is I think there will be tools where a farmer will be able to pull in their business plan from the banker, map out what their cash flow needs are based on that, and whatever else they got going, their liabilities are, and it start to help them build the framework for what that grain marketing plan is. I could be shocked. I would be really surprised if tools today gave materially better price prediction than what exists. It's just there's just literally too much future there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it'd probably be better at spotting dislocations, like when things aren't behaving right. So the
Right.
45 versus 60 under, um,
Yeah.
it'll find that stuff faster. But it's not going to know like, oh, from a spec trade perspective, the market should go up 15%. Like it's not going to like do that any better
Right.
than.
And you look at this market that we've had the last, what's it been, 2 months headline, right? Uh, War's over. Well, China's going to buy $17 billion worth of products, then we're up the next day. Well, they didn't buy all $17 billion in 24 hours, so then we were down. Just such a headline market here the last couple months, ever since the war started.
Yeah.
So how does AI factor any of that in when it's trying to think about the future
Yeah,
stuff?
I'm with Gabe here. There's too many variables, right? And it can't handle all those variables.
I mean,
I don't think.
it would need to map out like 3 billion people's behaviors, like
Yeah, right.
right.
Right,
It
right.
I mean, maybe there's a number less than that. Maybe it's only 300 million people or something. But like the this is what I'm saying is like where I think it falls down is the computational side of it. Like just we don't have the horsepower, even with a million more data centers.
So, to a lesser importance extent, I think I've seen some farmers using things like Claude and ChatGPT. So one of the use cases I've seen is they'll like upload all their manuals for their tractors and
Mm,
combine,
yeah,
whatever. And then, so what you do is you kind of package it in this thing, and then you can say like, "Hey, what setting do I have to set the combine on to harvest corn?" Right? And it like knows that answer. I love use cases like that because it's these things that you do once a year. I watch my dad like go look for the book and thumb through it and try to figure it out. And it's like you can just ask it right on your phone and it tells you, you know.
I mean, anytime we buy a new appliance now, I download the PDF manual and dump it in, right?
Huh.
Because because exactly that, right? Like twice a year, I'm gonna go look at how to clean the filters on the dishwasher. Like I'm,
Exactly. Right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you don't have to hold on to the manual.
yeah.
I hate
That's what I'm
that
saying.
too.
Like it's great at that,
Yeah.
right? Like the
Yeah.
content summary and navigation, but I also make it show me where in the manual it's looking,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
right? Because
You'll somebody hurt you, Gabe. You'll trust it eventually.
yeah, maybe I don't know. I'll probably be old man yelling at the moon.
You probably don't even have to upload it. You could probably, whatever you're working on, just take a picture and say, here's the brand and model, and it's probably gonna know what to do
I bet that would work most of the time.
Yeah, the
most of the
uploading
time.
is safer because it's like this
It locks it
package.
in. It
Yeah,
only looks at
right.
that.
Right. Gotcha.
Um,
Otherwise, it can go like because like Gabe said, it is literally guessing what it should say next. So if it'll find itself if it doesn't like right away find GE model 767, it'll just be like, oh, just generic GE. This is how you do it, and it like may or
Right.
may not, right,
Right.
and it may or may not tell you.
like that stuff, cool. I do think that'll get better, right? It'll get better and better at that. But yeah, I mean, I look, I like the great democratizer argument for it. Like that's a much sunnier future. Um,
That's my future.
that's
I
yeah,
like
that's
I like
that.
when you take things I say and make them sound intelligent. The great democratizer. That's right. I mean, honestly, that's what I think will happen.
Uh, yeah, I hope it does.
And then
Like
back to capitalism, what I hope is the people that spend all their time trying to figure out how to make these cool things happen get paid for making those cool things happen, right? Like to me, it's like I envision a world where there's like 50 times as many businesses out there, right, that people can interact with, because you don't need this like gigantic overhead to run these companies.
yeah, I mean, so the other version of that is right. Take Anthropic to another extreme, which is there is no more businesses and
Yeah,
everything is just that.
yeah.
Um,
You want to hear
I-
why I don't think that's going to happen?
Yes.
I don't. People like people. So
Yeah.
people do business with people. I think that is truer today than it was even 20 years ago. And there's a few situations I've been in here recently. So one, I'm working for ADM, and we had this. I was on the marketing side, and we had this kind of catastrophe happen to us, right? And the farmers were under contract with us. We owed them some money. and like we weren't gonna get paid on the other side, so it was like a bad deal. All of our contracts for these were electronic, right?
Mhm.
So totally against the law, but if someone wanted to, they could gaslight everyone by just changing the terms of that contract, right? Where if you didn't have a physical copy of that contract,
Mm.
it's gone, right? Like, oh, yeah, no, we said if this thing happened, you didn't do it. ADM would never do that. If you did that in the grain business, you're
Well,
screwed
it's
forever,
fraud. Like you said,
right?
it's illegal,
Yeah.
but yeah, yep, it's a risk.
But that exists out there, right? And
Sure.
and like now when I sit here and say, I can't even trust videos that I see on the internet, right? Like you can be an actual video I can look at and be like, man, I know that's not real, but boy, that looks real, right? Like Putin and Trump holding hands, making out in a park or something like that. Those types of things. Um, so what I think it's going to get us to is a point where, hey, I want paper, right? I want written copies of everything, and I want to see your face. You're going to bring them to my house when we make a transaction. I think that's the future.
I mean, there's definitely some futurists out there that think there's going to be kind of like this big swing back to in person, right? Whatever that means, whether it's paper or that version
Yeah,
of it, but like
right.
that'll happen because it is so difficult to trust this. Like, who knows? That we could just have AI coming through all of Cole's. I mean, Cole, what are you getting like debate speeches? You singing karaoke? You got a lot of karaoke videos on YouTube. We just create an
A
artificial
lot. Well, yep. My father-in-law. We like to karaoke every
line to
now
a
and
karaoke.
then.
So we could just build Cole out of karaoke videos, and we've got enough recorded stuff. I would expect it to be able to generate all this dialogue
Yeah.
without us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'll give you some other reasons that I don't think it'll go that way. One, there are plenty and continue to be more open source models for these things. And so you don't actually have to pay Anthropic or Cloud if you run it on your own computer. Like you can just do that. And like as a business, that's something that we talk about because I don't want to be reliant on Claude or Anthropic for if we end up making like a critical part of our workflow.
Yeah.
Um, and so, it's like, so that in and of itself, I think that that's something that will prevent that. I mean, the other thing is that as long as the free market thing keeps going, there will be more competition, right? It will drive uh, that. Yeah, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised if the lobbyists for OpenAI and Anthropic are heavily trying to get regs in place that specifically benefit them and start
Oh,
making up stuff like, oh, you have to be at least this big to
yeah.
that kind of thing, and like
Yep.
that. Those are some of the dangers. But as long as things like that don't slip in, like its very nature allows for the creation of its own competitors, um, and
Yep.
so I think there's enough people out there that that are rebellious enough that they're not going to just go along with whatever the big name is.
I do think that the way they're going to sneak in, if they sneak in this, like keeping everybody else out, it's going to be through compliance, right? It's going to be like
Yeah,
tons of compliance overhead that the average guy couldn't start from scratch with.
yeah,
That's how they
but
do it.
they
I'll
keep
call
making
it.
great tools that help build better compliance tools.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, right.
That's the thing, right? It's a there. It's a book. I think it's called "The Singularity Is Nearer," and the guy talks about how like tech like this is the only. So when like if there's innovation in a factory, it doesn't make innovating the next factory faster, right? So if you come up with like a
Yeah,
new version of a
right.
car, the next time when you're trying to come up with the next new version of a car, you're not faster because you have that old car.
Yeah,
Tech is the big exception to that, right? When you make a faster microchip, you get faster at making the next microchip because the tools that you use to work on building microchips, you made them better.
yeah,
So there's very few things like that where the tools you are innovating on are the tools to create the thing.
yeah.
Um, and so as much as like I think it's like these buckets and there's all these pieces, I do recognize like there's some sort of exponential growth curve that I don't understand, but that's why I think the compute capacity is going to be the actual limiting factor.
Elon's just going to put all those up in space and with wires hanging down to us. So all the compute happens in
I think that's
space.
how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where they say we're at it.
We One of my guys was talking to me about a company that they've got mirrors in space that they will turn so that at night they can put sunlight down
Hmm.
on so we were cool. I work at a greenhouse company, so we grow lettuce in greenhouses, and so he's like, I don't know, this might be like and I could, like, I got to dig into it further, but it's like,
It's like 24 hours of sun on a very specific location, right? Is what you're
yeah,
talking. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know like what it costs, like, but certainly, if we see energy prices continue to tick up, it may be something worth doing um, for the greenhouse. We do run a lot of light in the greenhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you want
Um,
to talk about markets, Rodney?
uh, I want to do one more
All right.
like scrubbing of the internet story. So, you guys, Stranger Things guys, anybody watch Stranger
Saw the first
Things?
season. It's too scary for me though.
Okay.
I got into it and then kind of fell off by the end, but
Okay. So I was heavily invested. Mostly my daughters were heavily invested, and it was an excuse for me to spend an hour with them, and it was an entertaining show, right? So anyway, we get to the end, season finale, or like one episode before the season finale, and there's this scene where a girl's like, it takes place in the 80s, and she's like jumping out of this thing, and her sleeve comes up, and there's an Under Armour logo underneath her sleeve or underneath her overcoat. So social media goes crazy, like, oh man, they're gonna do this crazy spin, like it's, in the future or in the
Sure.
past or like whatever, like we thought it was true. Come to find out, nobody caught it. It was a total
Just a
accident. She was
miss.
wearing
Yeah.
a yeah, Under Armour thing. So they went in, the Duffer Brothers went in, edited that piece, and now it is gone forever. You can't find it. Like they're like, nope, gone. And that's what scares me, man. I don't like that.
What do you mean it scares you?
It's like you can gaslight the whole world if you do it right. Like I'm not that convinced that that movie with what's the genie movie that guy was supposedly in that never came out.
The genie movie.
Ah, come on, Cole, you're too young to know what this is.
You're not talking about Robin Williams. No.
Um, what's it called?
Genie.
The Mandela Effect, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. The man. Yes, where we all think we know something, but yeah.
So Sinbad genie movie called Shazam.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
Can you
I've
picture
heard
the
I've
of
family?
it.
heard of it.
It's not a real
Yeah,
thing though.
it's not a real thing, supposedly, but like people think it is, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I thought it
follow.
was for a really long time.
Yeah,
Man. Yeah.
right. So that's the stuff
Um,
that scares me.
but that was pre-AI. What are you worried about? I mean, so it's no different.
Unless we're in a what is it? What's like
Simulation.
simulation, which is also
That's
possible, probably
that's a
likely.
that's another conversation. We're not in a
Yeah,
simulation though, Rodney. I don't know where
yeah.
my I don't know where my Descartes book is, but I'll ship that to you.
Okay,
Old Renee took care of that one a while ago.
okay. I like it.
Um,
Yeah, let's talk markets. Cole, what's going on in your neck of the woods? How's the crop look?
Um, so from Jacksonville, Illinois, going north towards the Quad Cities, we're off to a fantastic start in our part of the world. Um, going back a month, 6 weeks ago, probably 50% of our territory had quite a bit of nuisance rains. You know what I mean? You'd get 2/10 of an inch on Monday. You'd make plans and then it rained in the middle of the night Wednesday. So then, we still couldn't do anything. Um, but all in all, I mean, things look really strong so far for us. Um, I would say, last year felt early. I'll use that word. This year feels not. far behind it really at all. Maybe
Yeah.
5 days. And that's really only like north of McDonough County. As you continue to go further north, up towards Rock Island and Moline. Um, in terms of marketing, man, it's these last 2 weeks, they've been pretty quiet. I mean, you look at nearby July corn, we're 30 cents off those highs. New crop geese, we're 30 cents off those highs. Our origination team did a really, really good job of, getting in front of our customers and making the right recommendations of bailing on some old crop. We're probably 80 to 85% marketed on old crop corn. New crop, they did a heck of a job. We're probably 20%. Then, beans were 95% or better sold on old beans. New beans were right around 20% as well. But, specifically looking at corn, you're 30 cents off those highs. What's going to get D's back to five? Well, we don't know. There could be a headline tomorrow and something blew up at the strait, right? No idea. But how's the customer? My challenge for our customer base and our origination team is, okay, if we only sold 5% at that first whack towards the contract high, what's our game plan if we're going to challenge $5 again, between now and step one? Are we going to sit and do nothing? Are we going to reward a 30-cent rally with another 10, 15, 20% sale? Because sometime between now and step one, I'd like to see majority of our customers get closer to a third sold. Maybe even right around 40%. And we're sitting at 20 today. So that's our challenge that we're thinking about today's, yeah, I know we've been taking it on the chin, but how do we react if we get this opportunity again? Or if we
Yeah.
just sniff, $5 on the board.
Yeah, and I think the inflation thing was a real concern, right? I think guys were afraid to even sell levels that they haven't seen in a while just because it's like,
Right,
man, it goes to 550, right?
right,
My input costs are going to scream higher.
right.
Uh, and then, Gabe and I spent a year talking about how terrible, how low volatility was in the market. Well, it did its job. It screamed higher, and it was really hard to, spend the money to buy puts or buy calls or whatever. It's just tough.
Man, I gotta get that
Right.
trailing stop platform built. Like it kills me because that's like the answer almost every time.
What?
Because the bias is like, okay, we're going higher. I don't want to sell because it's going to keep going higher, but
Yeah.
I'm worried about it going lower,
Yeah.
right? And like most of us lack the discipline that on the way down to just pull the trigger and get out. And
Yeah.
no, and like rarely is it the market being nice about doing it at times when you can stare at it, right, and catch it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just drives me nuts, man. One of these days, I'm just going to roll out with it. Uh, so it's interesting. So if we've gone back 30 cents off the highs in corn, right? So which was just over $5 for D's, right?
Yep.
I mean, so what is that? That's like 5, 6%, right? Like on a percentage basis, it's like nothing.
Right.
I like that's the
Yeah.
crazy thing to me is what that feels like, right? It feels like shit, we dropped 30 cents, but like that's fine. Like in a corn market that moves like it does, 5% over like a month. Okay. I don't know. Like it's tough to get too excited about one way or the other.
Yeah. I love this. Let's think about it a different way, though. Corn doesn't go to zero. Like it, so really, am I really thinking about this like it's like a 30% move if my mental model is corn goes from $4 to $5?
Sure, I think 350 is probably your low, like your actual functional
Sure.
low.
Yeah.
But it's not. But your point holds, right? Like, yeah, I agree. It's bigger that way. Um, but on the other hand, we also like if you're going to be like that, your range is something like 3 to 10 in corn,
Yeah, I get it.
right?
Like
Like,
why the hell would I sell the bottom of the range, Gabe?
yeah,
I'm just gonna hold.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So look, we can play the games we want to play. That's we're amazing at it, right? Like so let me give you all the reasons I shouldn't sell today, Rodney. It was a terrible idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I like yeah.
So one of the crazy things is that, as Cole was talking, I was looking up, beans are also only off 30 cents off the highs. So we're
Yeah,
just
that
off
is
30
pretty
cents on the
crazy.
highs. That's crazy, man. I would have said beans were the most bearish story in the world.
Well, what's the ratio look like?
I got it here. 2.47. So that's favorable beans. I mean,
All
like 2
right.
point, yeah.
It's
I mean, what?
favorable beans, and it's like pretty close to or it's fairly favorable beans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So I mean, that tells you it's probably since it was unfavorable. Like this, back to the mean reversion conversation, right? Like
Mhm.
like you got to look at all the things. Not that you're not. I feel
Yeah.
you're yeah. Like I'm looking at this every day. It's very easy for me to pop in every week or two and run my mouth. Um,
Yeah.
but I guess that's part of the value, right? Like, because I'm not staring at it all the time. This stuff doesn't stick out at me, and it's like there's like a checklist, right? It's like, hey, this looks weird. Where does it fit versus what I expect normal to be, and like what's normal? And so that ratio is always a helpful benchmark. Um, and then, but yeah, like, but yeah, that's what that feels like to me. Is it's just moving in line with norms. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, what I loved about this year so far is we've made like two runs at $5 on new crop corn, right? We had two chances at it. So, Gabe used to show us the chart where it's like you feel invincible and then you have regrets or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
that term is. So everybody got to feel that. And then, the market was down. And, one of the things I did was my customers have to be so annoyed when they get these emails from me, but it's like, hey, I want you to tell me how you feel today with the market down 50, 30 cents, because that's going to tell me how you're positioned, right? Because there's definitely guys that are 50% sold at, 480 and the market goes to 460 and they're like, yep, I feel great. I'm so glad I'm 50% sold. And then there's definitely another guy going, oh my God, like, how am I going to meet my cash flow needs or blah, blah, blah. So, like, my advice to these guys is, hey, pay attention to how you feel on those big move days, whether it's up or down, because that really gives me insight into how well you're positioned and how we should adjust that position. Because, the beauty of futures is it's super easy to adjust your position,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
so easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's also like the perfect approach, right? Because the feeling's easy to see. Like
Yeah.
if as you mature as an adult, right? Like you can recognize, oh, I feel anxious or whatever. It's a great question because that next question of, all right, now let's figure out why. It happens to me like when I'm at work, I'll get really frustrated with something, like somebody does something, and it's like, well, on the surface, I don't know that I should be that whatever upset about that thing. And so like, so let me figure out what is it that I'm actually upset about, and is it just that I'm an idiot and like
Yeah.
whatever, or was there like a real thing that's the actual issue?
Yep.
And I assume that's driving that conversation because either they're figuring out, oh man, yeah, I do have these cash flow needs that I hadn't really been thinking about and been lazy about getting on top of, or oh yeah, like I don't know why I was freaked out. Like everything's fine. Like
Yeah,
it
totally
probably
fine.
drives.
And frankly, we had the same conversations on the way up, which was like, Corn put in 506, and that was actually about the worst day in most of these guys' life because they're like, oh, the stress of like, God, this thing could go to 550, right? So, but same thing, like, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? We can, if you're, we can buy a call or there's all kinds of ways to manage those emotions. What I say to guys is like, grain marketing should not be super stressful. The way I think about it is you kind of set the tone certain times of the year, right? That like Cole, you could name it. We're going to have a 2 billion bushel carry out in corn, right? Unless something changes. So you can go back and look and say, hey, we're probably going to, at those values, we're not going to trade $10 corn, right, Gabe? I mean, like at those values.
Yeah,
And we'll get new information thrown at us as the year goes. So you just adjust to that information. It's super easy to say because my income does not come from selling corn across the scale, but um, I don't know. I think that's the way to look at it.
So, like, Cole, are you
That's
looking at that we took a couple runs at five and seeing what that looks like historically? Like when we've taken runs to like multiple runs at, I'm gonna call it mentally
right.
convenient levels, and like what happens? Like how many shots do you get? How often is it doing
Sure.
that and then coming all the way off, or is it doing that and then is it coming threes or something? Have you done any looking like that?
Well, back to Rodney's point, talking about 2 billion bushel carryout. I mean, you're more or less, the info we have today. We're projected to have a real similar corn situation as like this year, right? So, it feels kind of silly saying it. And hindsight's 2020 because we're 25 cents away from five. But it's like, okay, what I wish I would have said to my customers, like, hey guys, fundamentally nothing has changed here. This is crude oil, war, energy's spiked us up. This is when you need to be rewarding this thing. And if you like the price, back to Rodney's point, but you're scared it's going to go to six, you can make this sale, you can buy a call for 20 or 25 cents, and we're still above your crop insurance guarantee,
Yeah.
which I think was like 462, 463, for that spring price.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my long way of saying, hey, when we look at where carryout's projected to be, that doesn't say today $5 corn. That implies we're probably 110% of what the market thinks the high could be for the year. So again, I feel silly saying it. I wish we would have been a lot more in front of our customers. We did get 20% on the board, but you know, now our challenge, if we're going to take another run, man, which I don't, unless it's war or something else we don't know about, we got to challenge our customers to go from 20 or 25 to 30 or a little higher than that.
I mean, well, one of the things we
Yeah.
talk a lot about is benchmarking and like thinking about how do you really
Mhm.
evaluate what you should, how you perform, right? And I think, and when you say now, well heard, right? Look, we're off 30 cents. Of course, you'd like to go back in time and sell more at
Yeah.
30 cents higher. I, but when I think taking a fair approach
Mhm.
to it, like if you think about how much time we spent at five, like it wasn't long, right? It kind of peaked
Right.
up there and came back off. And so yeah, of course, be nice to go back in time. I think starting to think about like, okay, if you really think the fundamental picture actually puts us more at 450 and we're spending all this time at 470, 480, and you miss that, that's, I think, appropriate to kick
Hmm.
yourself for, right? Like,
Right.
if
Right.
that's your view. And I think thinking about things that way is at least a more realistic way to
Right.
evaluate our performance as
Right. Yep.
not knowing everything. Um, but yeah, but as much as I beat on the trailing stop, like it is such like that. If we leave the tool aside for a second, but think about that approach, it really is about saying, recognizing it's super stressful to make a sale as the market's going up, which is always like that was such a hard lesson to learn that like that's actually super stressful, even though it means more and more profit. And so things like that let you effectively take risk off the table without having to take the stress on of having made the decision are super valuable. So could be a trailing stop, could also be a put. I don't know why, but like we never really got farmers to get into puts real hard, right? It's because I mean it's basically it feels more like insurance than a call does. I think a call is
Right.
kind of like you're rooting for it, and like the put's the thing you
Yeah.
don't want to have happen.
Right.
Um,
Yes,
but
exactly. That's the problem.
Well,
If
and
you win
like,
on a put, you feel like you lost. That's
that's
exactly the
right.
yeah,
problem.
and in my
Yeah,
experience too, I mean, they never do enough because they've never done it before. You're not going to
yeah.
let somebody just buy a put or do a min max for 50% because they've never done it. It's like, hey, let's try this out for 5 or 10,000. And to your point, when it does work, you feel like a loser because it's like, man, I should have done way more than that, you
Hey, the
know?
put always works. I think that's part of the problem, right? You because you're not just paying for the price protection, you're paying for the ability to stay in the market.
Yeah.
You're
Right,
basically it turns that lack of action into a decision with more
right,
intention, but also make sure that you don't fall asleep at the wheel or get lazy or have the market just take off and leave you behind down to the
right.
downside. And so like it is the put didn't work. I taught option school to farmers for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years while I was at Cargill, like, and getting guys come and talking like that's a really challenging switch to make in your brain. Um, it's easy when you're learning, like most of my market stuff comes from learning options first. So like when you learn that way, it's a very different mindset. So it's like, what are you talking about? But like, so I think that's, you got to look at it as the portfolio. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the price protection, but you're also paying to not have to make a decision, like
Yeah.
like which has a huge value potentially.
Yeah, my other in favor of puts, dude, I agree. I've tried pushing puts on farmers forever and they hate them, but I so they're usually skewed a little cheaper, right, Gabe?
Yep,
Is that right? Yeah. So
that's right.
like
I,
same value
so
of a
so it's not
strike.
that the puts are
Yeah.
skewed cheaper. It's the vol skew in corn. The vols below the market they increase slower than the vols above the market.
Hmm.
So put and call at the same strike actually have the same volatility, but obviously nobody's buying in the money calls; they're buying the puts. But on a relative basis, an option 10 cents above, struck 10 cents above the market, has a higher vol or is more expensive relative to the same option level of moneyness 10 cents below the market.
Yeah, so I see that, and then if I'm gonna buy a call option, that means I've probably paid for a hedge to arrive or paid for a hedge or there's multiple fees involved where it's like the put, it's just the put, man,
Uh,
just forget it. Yeah, but the problem is then I have to do another thing, right? That's the benefit of the call is I've sold the grain, I buy a call, right?
mhm.
I'm trying to do the same strategy here, right? I've sold the grain, I bought a call.
Yeah,
I can forget about it.
whatever
If
happens
I
on the
buy
call
the
happens. Yeah,
Yeah, if I buy the put,
still
like
got
I
to sell the
still have
grain.
to, the work's not done, right?
Yeah,
Right. You still have to, and I feel
that's
like
what you're
that's
here
why a
for,
lot
Ronnie,
of,
and
Yeah,
that's why people are happy to work with Colt, right? Colt call them
right.
up.
That's
I
Hey
right.
feel
man,
like that's why
that
a
put's
lot of
expiring.
customers, they don't, they don't like puts either is, you're not just done the day you buy it. You still got to manage that thing too.
Who was
Yeah.
that guy you brought up last podcast? The financial advisor guy.
Oh, Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, it feels like he'd tell you to do an HTA and buy a call. That feels like his approach,
Yeah, yeah, for sure, but only
right?
with
The put has lower fees, requires a little more discipline and engagement,
yes,
right?
right.
That's what this feels like to me. So again, it has like HTA and a call,
Yeah, yeah, it's
fair
fine.
enough,
Yeah,
but some of us don't like spending all that money on fees. Uh,
yeah, yeah. I'm price sensitive, is what I call myself.
I mean, man, when you're dealing with the markets, like that stuff becomes real cut and dry. I feel like.
Yeah.
Um, Cole, where do you think harvest price is going to be?
This is a
In
good
North
time to point
America?
out this is not marketing
This
advice.
is not
We're
market
not giving
advice.
Yeah.
trading advice.
Yeah.
So if you did not see the giant smile on my face when I asked, like I recognize I'm asking Cole. I want to be really clear. Asking anybody that question is a ludicrous question.
Yeah,
It is an absurd question
So,
to ask, but it's fun.
yeah.
oh yeah, corn, beans, or both.
Uh, I don't know. I only grow corn in my backyard, so
Yeah, let's go
I'm
corn.
I'm gonna say cash corn, Central Illinois, September 20th. We're trading somewhere around 420 to 430.
I
Um,
was going to say 4:30.
beans, same time frame. I'm gonna say we're trading somewhere right around 1040, 1050. Just both of them right now, man, especially on the new crop. The last couple of weeks just felt super heavy and driven by headlines on price, especially when you think about our projected balance sheets, not just domestically, but for the world as well, right? It just doesn't feel like beans need to be 12 and corn at 5.
Yeah. Gabe, you said you were 430, but are you futures or
I was
cash?
I was going to say I'm not including bait. That was
Yeah,
my gut was for. So
you're
what does
more
that put
like
me like
40 or $4.
four
Yeah.
dollar? All right, I'm going to put
Yeah.
myself at $4. What where are we delivering into?
Um, we'll go to the Illinois River. So call it basis of 25 under.
Yeah, but he's gonna find the day. So like Havana, right? Is that where
Yeah.
where's your Yeah, Havana.
All right.
80M Havana.
On September 20th, is that what I heard?
Yep.
All right. So you're saying 4:30 cat. I heard you 4:20, 4:30. I'm gonna put you down as 4:25.
Okay.
That's the average. I did that in my head, everybody.
Yep.
I'm
Nice.
in at $4. Ronnie, where are you?
410.
410. You're such a punk. All right.
I mean,
So here's
I
what
was there already. It was 440 and basis is 30 under.
so Cole, I'm gonna send out a meeting request for September 20th for
Okay.
4 o'clock, and we'll see.
So to be clear, just in case something crazy happens, we're talking the fall bid on September 20th,
We're talking,
right?
yeah, the D's, yeah, basis net D's futures into ADM Havana in Illinois, Havana, Illinois.
Dude, we're gonna screw this up. If it's like a late harvest, like we're not talking old crop, we're talking new crop. Like
December
no,
2026 futures.
yeah, but we're talking cash, dude.
Oh, I know, but like, so December 2026 futures for delivery on September 20th. No, well, I guess
Yeah,
what do you want the
that'll
delivery?
I want to say
Delivery
October 1st delivery.
October 1st delivery
Yeah.
that's
on
fine.
September
I mean,
20th.
we'll be rocking and rolling by
Yeah.
then.
This
Yeah.
grain industry is this language and specificity is crazy. I don't know how anybody.
So what I love about the grain industry is the laziness of it. So one of the things I'm working on right now is trying to take like a brokerage statement and turn it into the simplest thing in the world that a farmer can read it. I don't know if you know this, all brokerage statements suck. Nobody can read them. So like, hey, let's turn this into something that somebody can read. The problem is there's more information in this shortcut, right? So like
Mm,
CNZ26 contains way more information than, July
right.
corn, right?
Yep.
So that's the problem.
All right. Well, you know me. I'm always entertained. Just so we're all clear, there's no stakes. Simply
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, bragging right.
pride at
Yeah.
For all
stake.
for pride.
Yeah.
Um, Big fan.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Cole, anything else you'd want people to know about you before we shut things down?
Um, no, I think that, all had really good points today. I definitely enjoyed the conversation and thank you guys for having me on and, farmer originator, elevator manager, anybody listening, um it's awfully slow when you have relaxed the markets here a little bit, but to me right now is the perfect time to reach back out again and say, well, here's where we are. What are we doing if we get close to where we were? I mean, we all want $5 cash for fall, which would equate to, five and a quarter. But it's June 1, basically. Oops, sorry. Cat just fell off the fridge.
All
He's
right.
good. Yeah. It's June 1, so you got either price is gonna win or it's gonna be time. So if you're a customer and you're not comfortable with where you're at, what's our game plan gonna be if we see some opportunities again?
Yeah. Good deal, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. No, thanks
Yeah.
for having me, guys. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Good to meet you, Cole. You got anything else, Rodney?
So for me, man.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.